Does it also happen to you that you returned from a landscape photography trip where you had the feeling of taking the best photo in the world, just to realize you made one of those composition mistakes that you totally should have avoided in the field, but you got carried away in the situation because everything just aligned and your brain went out the window? Or have you experienced to be super proud of a photo just to have another photographer point out one tiny thing about the photo and now you can't unsee it? Although perfection is the enemy of good and there are many arguments against trying to achieve perfection in art, just watch my friend James Popsys' video on that topic, I for one, with my art, strive for visually, aesthetically optimal photo with both my composition and editing, and almost graphical cleanness. In this week's video, I want to cover 9 photos that I'm really happy about where I have made a mistake that I just cannot unsee. And even though I do everything I can to avoid these mistakes in the field, sometimes the end result actually justifies that it is an unperfect portfolio photo. So the first photo I want to dig into is this one. It's one of my all-time favorite forest photos. And if we go in here, you can see right here, this part, the branches are simply just too close to each other. And it's just one of those places where I'm like, if I just walked a little bit to the right, it would have been a more optimal photo. And despite this mistake, I do find that the rest of the photo does make up for it. The colors, the softness, the fog in the background that separates the tree from the background. You can see in this example here, same tree, same composition, more or less. I moved a little bit to the right. However, I don't have that fog to create that separation. And I actually prefer the green version of the photo to this autumn version of the photo. However, the composition of the tree I prefer in the autumn photo. And you can see it's just because the branches are a little bit too close. So the next example is this one, and it is more or less the same problem. You can see right here, the branches are just too close to the horizon. They simply just touch, and there's just not enough separation between the bottom of the branches here and on the other side and the horizon. I can excuse myself by saying this was the first time I photographed this composition, and I did become aware of it all the other times that I returned to it. You can see here is an example where I have much more separation between the lower branches and the horizon line. And I personally find that it does make a massive difference to have that separation. However, I really do like the light and this cloud here that really makes a strong rule of thirds composition. And then I have clouds in the background too that I really find that, the light and the conditions were just really, really great in this. So I still feel that I can justify having this photo also in my portfolio. And in this example here, same problem. I have the eyes too close to the horizon. If I'd been a little bit further up, I could have had more separation between the horizon line and the eyes. If I was a little bit further down, I could have had the eyes cut up into the horizon, which I also like. But this one here, where the eyes is just hitting the horizon, it's not for me. However, the rest of the photo surely makes up for it. Anyone who has been to the ice beach in Iceland knows how hard it is to get a photo like this one here. And everything else in the entire photo just comes together. A brilliant piece of ice. And then we have the waves coming in, so I can get these streaks that are very uniform, and you can basically see that they are mirrored on either side of the ice. I have the sun coming in and also hitting the ice, and I have interest in the sky. Like everything else comes together in this photo. It's just like that one little thing that bugs me, but I can live with it. In this example here from Lanzarote, you can see the mountains over here. I personally find that they throws the composition out of balance. It annoys me each time I look at this photo. Either I would have preferred to have mountains on the right side too, or no mountains here at all. There's simply just nothing on the right side of the frame to counter the heaviness of these mountains. And here I'm not talking about physical heaviness, it's visual heaviness. However, it doesn't seem to be a big problem because each time I post this photo on Instagram, it performs very well. So again, it goes to show that you definitely do not need to have a perfect photo for it to perform well and be interesting for people to look at. And if you want to learn more about composition, balance, visual flow, separation, whether it's throughout the scene or between elements in the scene, and much, much more. I have links to my 2 ebooks on composition down in the description of the video. Minimal text, plenty of photos as examples, so that you get to the point fast. Personally, I find that when I get an ebook or a book and there's too much text, I have a tendency to not be very good at getting through it. And as a teacher, I think it's more important that you actually get the information that I want to tell you than I just blabber off. So links to both ebooks down in the description of this video. In this photo here, I compromised on the megapixels because this here is actually a drone photo that I took with my DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And as I did not have the zoom version of the Mavic 2 Pro, I had to go with simply just cropping the frame to get that perspective compression. And obviously, when you crop a photo a lot, you compromise on the amount of megapixels. So when I was finished with this photo, it's actually only like 2 megapixels. That said, the photo still works well. I would not blow it up in a huge print, but it works well either on Instagram or as a small print. And again, I can totally compromise on the image quality when the photo is this cool. This photo is one from Denmark that I really, really love. It's one where light, atmosphere and a beautiful soft landscape just comes together in a beautiful atmospheric morning photo. Now, there are 2 things about this photo that I wish would have been better and annoys me. First off, there's actually heather here and it's not blooming, so I would have to come back here in heather season. Now, the other thing is that I have these bushes down here. Theoretically, I would be able to clone them out with Photoshop, but I just don't think I have enough information in this area here so I can actually clone them out. I was actually aware of this when I took the photo, so I made a vertical photo too. However, what bugs me about this one is that I actually prefer the foreground from this photo right here. So theoretically, yes, I could take the foreground from this one here and copy it into this photo here and just make a composite photo. But point being that even though I have the issues with this photo, I still really, really like it. And I definitely think that it is portfolio worthy for my Danish landscape photography portfolio, because there's not a whole lot of places in this country that you can get a photo like this. This here is a drone photo also of the Danish landscapes. I actually never made a video about this photo here because it was one of those mornings where I got perfect conditions everywhere else and where I wanted to go. So I just used the drone to fly around and see if I could get anything. And I actually came away with this photo that I really, really like because it's another one that is quite unique for the Danish landscapes. There's not a whole lot of places where you can really get these dynamic landscapes with so many hills in one photo. It's also one that I have compressed down a little bit. I've cropped it, but what annoys me a little bit is this big field over here, and it kind of becomes a little bit of dead space and throws the photo a little bit out of balance because I have the forest over here and then I have this field right here. There's nothing I can do about this in editing whatsoever. I just have to accept the photo as it is. I do like that I have this tree standing out right here in the middle, and I love the sunbeams and I love the fog among the hills. So overall, I still absolutely love this photo. But looking at this part over here, this section here, it's just like, well, you have to live with it. Another thing I'm also very much aware of when I take photos with people in it is that I have some proper separation so I can see the silhouette of those people I take a photo of. In this example right here, I have a couple of people standing down here. There's no doubt about that it's 2 people, but I would have preferred that they were standing a little bit differently so I could see their legs a little bit more. As in this example here with myself and Sophie, you can see we can see our legs and we are standing out there on the background. Whereas in this one, you can't really see the legs, and yeah, it looks a little bit like off. I still love the photo for sure. Again, it's one of those mistakes where I can totally accept that it is there because the rest of the photo surely makes up for it. But it's still one of those like, I wish it was different. Now this photo here is one of my absolute favorite photos of all time, and not just from Britain. However, there's just like this one thing where I was like, I wish it was different. And it is the houses here in the background, especially with these chimneys. I generally do not mind having a house in my photos. I just don't want those houses to be like cut off, or it's just awkward. It's either or. Either you have the house in there or you don't. Half a house doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or a couple of chimneys doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I did take another photo this day, and you can see right here where the chimneys are simply not there. And yes, I like that the chimneys are not there, but I think I compromise a little bit too much on the balance of the photo. I feel that this photo here becomes much more right heavy than the previous photo. Also, I find that the brightness over here on the fields counterbalance the interest we have over here more so than it does in this photo here, because there's not as much light over here in this photo as there is in this photo right here. So even though this photo is cleaner, I do prefer this photo holistically. However, obviously, with the new remove tool in Photoshop, I can most certainly take care of the issues I have over there on the right side. And as you can see, it doesn't require much. It's simply just get rid of it with the remove tool and problem is solved. If you want to learn more about how I edit my photos, clean my photos, edit with luminosity masking, focus stack, how I use the entire dynamic range of the photo so I don't make them too bright or too dark, how I work with atmosphere and glow, and much, much more, be sure to enroll in my big Photoshop for landscape photographers post-processing course. There is a link down in the description of the video and a coupon code where you can get a little bit off whenever you enroll. So as you can see, sometimes the elements does come together, and even though you do make maybe a little mistake, for the most part, it is okay to compromise on it. I hope you learned a little from my mistakes. As always, I'd highly appreciate both a like and a comment. See you next time.